I think Shell is evil personified in the way that she acts, but it's difficult to define what evil is or what makes somebody become evil. And I think there's a lot behind the way that she is. I think she's a victim, actually, of unfortunate circumstances, and she goes around making victims of other people because of this. And whether that makes her evil, I'm not quite sure, but she certainly comes across as evil personified.
He's a fascinating character to play, Jim Fenner, because he's always sort of lying. But he's not lying necessarily consciously. He's actually lying because he thinks that's the truth.
I think that the character's really well written, and when I read it, it came across as a real person, somebody who is really cold and hard, but underneath you can see that there's somebody there who's quite vulnerable.
What happened to your face?
Nothing's happened to my face I can't fix, all right? Go on. Piss off back to your girlfriend. She's fabricated, really, to a large extent, because there's not much of me there. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be in prison. I've never had the kind of experiences that she's had, and never felt the urge to bully other people.
We're looking at a character without scruples, and we're looking at a character that is not, for instance, like Dirty Den, who he comes on screen somehow and you know that he's bad. I think the interesting thing about Jim Fenner is that he's full of enigma. He's, constantly changing and enigmatic, and therefore you're never quite sure where you are with him. Whoa!
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Okay. I want you to calm down. Just calm down. That's better. I think that's always more interesting, and therefore whether that's evil or not, I don't know. But certainly, it's more frightening to be with someone where you just don't know what's going to happen next. He could hit you, he could smile at you, he could kiss you, or whatever. You just don't know, and that's interesting.
During the whole series, she starts off as, people don't like her. She's a very bad person, but then you see the reasons as to why, and she is quite vulnerable. She is insecure. She's very young. She's had to grow up too quickly. She hasn't really had the chance of a childhood at all. She's had to become very tough in a very quick space of time.
Shell is the worst bully in the world, as in the most rubbish. She gets beaten up so much. She hardly ever does anyone any damage. I think you can't help but feel sorry for her, because she tries to be successful at being a bully, and yet she's just a failure, really. She's not even good at that.
You want to be scared of me, Atkins? I don't do scared.
I think maybe kids relate to her because there's always a bully in school, or there's always a few really hard girls who bully the others, or try to bully the others, or try to be top dog. And I think people can identify with that.
I'm clean! Oh, I give it to you!
Don't lie to me.
I'm not! I'm telling you, I've kicked! Look, honest, I'll pay you back with phone cards. I'll get you some gear brung in, can't I?
Get her knickers off. It was quite shocking to do the rubber glove scene because, I'd never really imagined a woman doing anything like that to another woman, It's a bit off, to say the least, and it was quite disturbing, especially with the use of the margarine. I've never been able to eat margarine since, that's true. I can eat butter, but not margarine. It's just so disgusting.
To Denny, I think Shell is the one in the prison. She can look after herself, She's tough and she's strong, and she doesn't have a weakness as far as Denny's concerned. So I think Denny just latches onto that and Shell takes advantage of it, She gets her to do all her dirty work and get the drugs off people and do nasty things to people, And Denny will do it simply for the attention she's getting off her, and they can't be touched as far as Denny's concerned, They're like one entity in the prison that can't be touched. They rule, And I think Denny's had to have that status. She needs that status, I think.
Look, I'll tell you one last time. Stop crying. It's getting on my nerves. Bloody hell. Denny, leave her alone!
Wimps. She's been in institutions from when she was like 9 years old. You know, with that, you have to be tough very quickly to get on, to survive, you know. She's a survivor, she's a fighter, and you can see that, but she's still insecure, she's still vulnerable, you know. And she's missing a lot in her life, i.e. parents and security and family and friends, I think.
Throughout filming the first series, I was haunted by dreams and nightmares about prison because I'd never given prison another thought before. It had never been something that was anything to do with my life. It would have affected me or anybody else that I know. And of course I had to think about this an awful lot. I had to use my imagination to connect with the character and to see what was going on in her life and in the prison, and actually put myself in that situation for a while. And I think it really affected me. It got into my subconscious, into my psyche, and this is why I had the bad dreams. It's very frightening. It's a very frightening place to be, because also we went to visit a prison just before we started the series, and it was quite shocking and it was pretty miserable.
What happened was, when we first came to do this series, I watched a lot of the prison officers when we went to Winchester. I looked at them and saw what was it about them. There was something coming off them that I found quite disturbing. And it's an energy thing. It's a kind of fear, actually. Well, it's not fear. It's about, they've got to keep everything under control. They've got to keep everyone under control. And so they're constantly thinking fast. So there's a kind of manic energy about them. And this is something that I thought is actually brilliant for Jim, especially in the light of having to, once Rachel kills herself, and he is basically responsible for that, is how does he do it? Well, the way he does it is because he's incredibly fast and swift in terms of thought and action.
It's a harsh world. You have to be tough. You know, you can't survive in a prison. It's like all these group of people in one institution, so many different, for so